Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Home Study. This is a podcast for parents, especially those who have children through adoption or foster care or are exploring those things. So, we're here to help you navigate the world beyond paperwork and placement. Thanks for being here. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Home Study. Laura, I don't know why I say a day because I don't know what day it is. Tuesday,
We never know what day
Thursday.
it is.
It will come out on a
Thursday.
Tuesday. We'll call it Tuesday. Yeah, it's Thursday. Oh, well, happy
Yeah, happy
Thursday.
Thursday.
There's a
How's your
daily,
Thursday going today?
well, I was going to say there's this daily podcast that I listen to most of the time, and they always start with like what day it is, and they have like little, fun things about that day, but they're off for the summer, so I feel like I'm not
You
oriented
don't know what day it
to,
is.
I don't know what day it is. So,
We
I
need
don't
to
know.
do that because our primary listeners are like moms that probably really don't know what day it is.
I know, but that would mean we have to do a daily podcast, which I don't know if I have enough to say about things every single day. Maybe
That's
I
true.
do.
That'd
I
probably
don't
be a bit
know.
much.
I don't know. I am thinking about doing a TikTok vlogist, like where I do a mini vlog of our day every day in the month of August. And that it feels really daunting. I guess this will come out at some point in August, so we'll have to check in and see how I've done. I'm thinking if I get like 50% of the days, I'll be good.
That's ambitious.
I know.
Doing it one day is like overwhelming to me.
I think it's like, for me, it's part of keeping myself from being a perfectionist on like when I'm making content on whether it's Instagram or TikTok, because I'm exploring TikTok. I'm like trying to figure out how it works, how to do like little edits and things. But like I can't take forever on it because it's a day. So I have to just do it. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. That's my August goal.
That's a good goal. I like it.
Yeah. And
Crazy that
maybe
it's
I'll know what
almost
day it is.
August.
I
Yeah, maybe you'll know what
know.
days. Every day you do it. Almost August, I'm like, school is starting. Like,
Yeah,
this is nuts. Like, wow, already.
I know. It is really crazy. I saw that there are some people, I think in southern Indiana, who they started like like the end of the third week of July. I was like, holy moly, starting back to school already.
That's just like earlier and earlier.
I know.
Huh.
I feel like school should start after Labor Day.
So in Wisconsin, it's like that,
It
apparently.
makes
So
it
Greg
makes
tells me.
so much sense. Like the end of summer.
Yeah,
Labor
for
Day is the
sure.
end of summer.
Yeah. Marks
Huh.
the end of summer. Exactly.
I don't know.
Well, if you're someone that's going back to school soon or getting ready for all of that, then today's episode is great for you
Yeah.
because we are talking about things that are triggered by going back to school. So, Abby, what are we talking about today?
Oh man. Okay, we're talking about navigating adult relationships, and especially those that, are new, or like if you're looking for new friends, new relationships, or maybe you're not looking for them and you're going to be like in a new school, your kids are starting a new club sport, different sports, whatever, different things like that. And you're going to be meeting a lot of people. And we know as adoptive parents that our stories can be kind of complicated, complex. And through that, I think, we get a lot of funny looks and also funny comments. And so we've got some of those to share with you today and just like how to navigate through all of that.
Yeah, it's so hard. Like being a mom in general and trying to make like adult friends. No, okay, scratch that. Being an adult out of
Yes.
college, it's already hard to make friends, right? Because you like don't have the same avenues that you did. It's just not like expected.
Yeah.
And then throw in being a mom and then throw in being an adoptive mom. And it's just like it's harder and harder and harder to like have these relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to just talk about that today, be real honest about stuff that we've encountered. Yeah. We did a
Yeah.
poll, so if you guys saw was it on Instagram, right? Yeah, so we did a fun poll and, Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah,
What
we'll
results
talk
do we get from that poll?
yeah, we'll talk about some of those comments, but okay, before we even get into that, how do you like you kind of alluded to it there in your intro, but like how do you feel about the friendships that you currently have right now? Like the people that you see on like maybe a weekly or a monthly basis, like are you where would you kind of like rate yourself? Like are you satisfied and like, "Oh yeah, I'm good. Like I have the amount of friends that I want. Like we go as deep as I want." Or are you like I miss my
Ooh,
college
like,
days.
rate it?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you sound like my therapist right now. Um,
I'm not giving you a scale or anything. I'm just like, just to kick it off. This is
yeah,
kind of
yeah, it's
therapy.
not great. I know, sometimes it kind of feels like that. It's not great. Like, I'll be honest, it's not. Like, I had a lot of before I had kids, early years of marriage, had a lot of friends, a few deep friends, but definitely a lot. Um, and then now, which some of this isn't motherhood, some of this is because we moved and then we moved back. And so that was like, that's probably like 70% of this, something like that. But yeah, then like now, I don't know. It's hard to make new friends. Every now and then I'll see someone, I'll be like, oh, that girl, like, I think I would like her. And then, okay, this is kind of funny. There's like this girl, there's this, there's this girl at church that I see all the time, and I'm like, "She is so cool." And I don't even, like, wanna be friends with her because 'cause I'm like, it's gonna, like, shatter the illusion.
That's so
I'm
funny.
like, I know because 'cause I'm gonna be friends with her, and then I'm gonna be like, "Oh, you're not as cool as I thought you were," and I kinda wanna keep it this way. Gives me goals, right? Aspire to
That's
be this
so
girl.
funny. I love
Yeah.
it.
I
Or
don't know, it's just hard. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
have great friends, and right now, I'll be honest, the ones that I do are not moms, and I
Mm,
prefer it that way.
yeah. Like it gives you a little break when you're hanging out with them.
Gives me a break. They're not talking about their kids.
Yeah.
Honestly, being an OT, it's hard sometimes to turn it off. And
Mm,
so when I'm with other moms, it's sometimes hard to like ignore if I'm seeing their child do something that I'm like,
oh
oh,
yeah.
that grass pattern. And I don't want to be that mom. So sometimes it's just easier to not hang out with people that have kids.
That's so funny. They're probably following you on Instagram and stuff and like know your tips and tricks though. So, maybe it's fine. Maybe they know them, but they're just not doing
Sorry.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What about you? How would you rate your current mom friendships or not?
Yeah, it's so hard. Like I was with a friend yesterday afternoon. She has 3 boys. We have our 3 kids, and Josh was actually there with me, so it, like, kind of created a little bit of space that I could talk to her, but it's like, we both left and text each other, and we're like, "We need time where we can just hang out, like, just us," because, like, yes, it's nice to get to see each other and, like, our kids get to see each other, but, like, our friendship it's hard for, like, our friendship to grow or, like, even feel super meaningful when we're just like manning a kid, like it's just really it's hard. So I'm thankful that like we can just meet up on a Wednesday afternoon, but we're not going super deep or anything like that because there's kids running everywhere. So, and yeah, like similar to you with moving, I mean, it's crazy. Like I feel so we moved to a place where, like, I know a lot of people, but they don't like, they knew who I am through my family, but, like, we don't really know each other, like, on a super like, any kind of deep way yet, and it's like, we've been here 6-ish months, and I don't know, like, I feel like we should be further along than, like, what we are right now, but I'm also like, I have these young twins. I have Judah at like an age where he doesn't want to just like go off and play with his friends and like go and do something. So that part of it like definitely makes it hard. And a friend recently told me who moved to another state, she's like, "Oh, it took me like a year and a half, 2 years to feel like these were like my people here." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's 6 months in and
Girl,
I
I'm
feel."
4 years in here and I don't have my people.
Yeah, so, like, it just is so you can't compare to anybody, like, you can't compare to other people's situations, stories, anything, but I feel like it's something that's so important to have good friends, like to have community, because otherwise you're living like so isolated, and that's not good for us to live isolated. But at the same time, how do we find these friends?
Yeah, but I am gonna plug an unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
So, first of all, if you are listening and you are one of my non-kid friends and you're like, "Wait, I'm not your people," you are my people. I'm specifically talking about mom friends. Um, but anyway, yeah, so I feel like there's this opinion, especially in like the Christian we'll say conservative Christian culture of
Mhm.
like community so important. But I think that when people say that, and I don't know how you feel about this. I think when people say that, they have this picture of like these really deep friendships or a lot of friendships, but usually really deep friendships. And there's a part of me that's like, it's okay if you don't. I'm not saying that like you should never have any friends that are deep. Like, yes, you should probably eventually have some friends that you can confide in.
Mm.
But also there's like I'm like not explaining this well, but like, okay, I heard someone say once like you should just get messy, invite your friends over. It's chaos and like this is good because you need community. And that I
Mm.
disagree with. Hey, friends, if you've been enjoying Beyond the Home Study, there are a couple of easy ways to support the show. First, follow and leave a quick 5-star review. It helps other adoptive and foster families find us. Second, we just set up a Buy Me a Coffee page. It's a simple way to say, hey, I love what you're doing, and it helps us to keep the podcast going. You can check it out at buymeacoffee.com/beyond the home study or check out the link below. And as always, we're so grateful you're here.
Mm.
That works for some people.
Mhm.
That actually would be doing my children a disservice
Yeah.
because my child is adopted, because my child has specific attachment needs, sensory needs, like there's more there to invite chaos into my home for the sake of like a deep friendship is actually not helpful. And it's going to make it even harder for me. And so do I need a close friend? I mean, yes, but, like, I also have my husband, like, I'm not
Yeah.
completely isolated, and I do have friends, and, like, yeah, like, you just have to measure that deepness, like, with a grain of salt, I guess. Does that make sense? Am I, like, making
Yeah.
sense?
Well, I think that's really good because it's like, I mean, I don't know what your like day to day necessarily looks like with calling, texting, like how you stay in touch with people. But like I have definitely seen that some of my closest friends, they don't live anywhere near me, but they're like a text away or an audio message away or whatever that might be. And like that's definitely how I stay in touch with a lot of people. But it's also like that's I don't know, like if you just looked at my like day to day life, you're not seeing them. Like you're not seeing them in my home. You're not seeing them like doing things like activities and things with us, but I know that I can connect with them very quickly if I need to. So, I mean, yeah, it just looks different. Like, do I want that friend that I can just be like, hey, let's meet at the zoo tomorrow morning at 10 and just like know that they'll be there? Yeah, like I would love to have that, but I don't have that right now. So, and that's
Well, I think
okay.
there's also just this yeah, it is okay, absolutely, and I think there's just this illusion of, I remember being, like, one time in my life before I was even married, like, I was friends with people that were married, and we would just have these, like, deep, rich conversations all the time. Sometimes those couples had kids, sometimes they didn't, and I feel like sometimes there was this pressure that, like, everybody needs to have this with
Mm,
multiple people, where you're, like, having these deep theological discussions, and you're really challenging one another and all this, and I'm like, "I can't even play a board game barely right now." Like,
but yeah.
I no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that right now. That wouldn't be helpful for my spiritual, journey. It wouldn't be helpful for my heart. Like, I don't need that. Like,
Yeah.
I just need the friend that, like, can occasionally go out for some chips and salsa and a margarita.
Yeah. No, I think that's so good. And I think wherever you're at on the friend spectrum, I think it's always good to just like take an assessment and like think through, okay, where am I at? Like, am I being the kind of friend that I want to be, like that I want to have? And am I good with like where I'm at right now? And if you're not, like look for different ways. There are so many different ways you can get involved, especially as a mom. And if there's ways that you're like, I'm spread too thin, like I have too many people that I'm trying to like spend time with or invest in or have them invest in me or whatever it looks like, I'm spread too thin, like then maybe it's time to take a step back. Like I think we probably have people listening who are like on every notch of that spectrum.
You're right, that's probably true, and there's
Yeah.
definitely, like I think it just you have to go with, like, where you are in your season, like, young kids
Yeah.
looks way different than, like, older kids, you might be running around more, but,
Mhm.
with your preteens and your teens, but you're not as, like, needed as
Mhm.
much so that, then you going to a Bible study, going to these things that are, like, deeper and enriching are probably a
Mhm.
lot easier and a lot more helpful than when you've got 2 toddlers running around that, like, can't wipe their butt.
Yeah. That. Definitely that. It's like you had a peek into my day. I only have one toddler, but yeah, that's how it went. Oh goodness. Okay, well, why don't
Side note,
we
we had to lock the pantry this week.
whoops.
I know. I mean, we're gonna come up with a solution so that they have access to food, like,
I,
some form of food, but, like, the temporary solution was we had to lock the pantry because this is getting
oh,
ridiculous.
oh man. Our pantry is like you slide this little door and then there's shelves that go up. And Judah has figured out that the candy, like different treats, are kept on the top shelf. So the other day I did, like, he fell to the ground and I was like, "Where did you fall from? Like, what just happened?" And he was climbing the shelves like they're a ladder.
Mhm.
And at that point, I was like, "Yeah, it might be time to figure out a
This
different
is what happened
solution."
to us, except they weren't climbing the shelves, they're taking stools and pushing them
Oh,
over and then getting the stuff on the top, and I'm like, "Shoot, now I don't know where to put this stuff." So I'm
yeah.
like, "Alright, we're locking it until I can rehome the chocolate
Yeah,
and the bubble
seriously.
gum." That's what they
Oh,
got the other day.
they
Anyway,
I know, gum, like, what yeah, Judah is obsessed with gum right now. Like, what? It's not good for you. You're just swallowing it. Anyways, okay, well, I just wanted to like kind of lay the groundwork of, where we both feel like we're at as we head into this conversation.
we are
20 minutes
diving
later,
in.
here we go. Okay. So we asked on Instagram, we wanted to know some of the craziest, like stupidest things that people have ever said to you about your adopted kids. Because like definitely thinking about, new friendships, you're meeting new people at school drop off, sports drop off, whatever. These are some of the comments that you're going to get. It doesn't matter who these people are. They always make these comments. Okay, so um are they all yours? That's one comment. Like,
Ridiculous.
what in the world? Um, I really liked this one. Someone said that so uh they have three children who are close in age, and one is adopted from Ethiopia, and people ask, are they triplets? Um,
Yeah,
okay.
man.
Yeah,
They're identical too.
let's think about that. I know you've said you've gotten that comment before, like, are your kids twins? It's like, what in the world? I don't
I
know.
know, you
Like,
gonna be like, "Do you need glasses?"
yeah, like, do these people just think they're just looking for something to say? Like, they're looking for a way to connect, but they're like not really thinking. I don't know. I'm not sure what the motivation is. I'm not
That's
gonna,
a nice way to look at it. I like that
yeah, I'm
better
not,
than what I
I,
usually think.
what do you usually think?
I mean, my first instinct is usually, like, judgmental, just like, "What are
Yeah.
you thinking?"
Yeah.
But then I mean, I can be compassionate after that, but the first one's not.
Yeah.
Just
I
honest.
mean, people, never mind. I'm not gonna go into, there's like weird things
What's
that
the next
people,
one?
there's weird things people say just about kids in general. Um, okay,
That's
so
true.
then there's like comments. Okay, so here's one. Are you worried that they'll turn out like their real parents?
No.
Like, Ay, ay, ay. Wow.
The
Um,
real parents in general, I find so
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, I know. Um, I have heard someone say, and I actually have gotten this comment before too, are they drug babies or is he a drug baby?
ugh.
And I just don't even really know. Like, that's never appropriate. I don't even know if it's appropriate. Like, it's definitely not appropriate when the child can hear, but also, like, I just don't think that's appropriate to ask ever.
Well, it's just, like, disrespectful.
Yeah, it's very disrespectful. Yeah. Um, the ones, and actually, when we had on our guest, Samantha Miller, she mentioned something like this where someone had said, like, oh, you're such a saint, or like, you and your husband are such good people, or things like that. And again, it's like, yeah, like I can see where you're trying to like compliment, but it's just a weird comment to make.
It feels weird. Like, no
Yeah.
matter, like, where you are on the side of that, like, we've had those comments too, like, "I
Yeah.
could never do what you're doing." And I'm like, "Well, okay, why?" Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think everyone should do what we did, but I still am just like, that's just a weird comment. Like,
For sure. For sure. One of my favorite this is my personal little story. One of my favorite things that someone has said to me personally, and like I'm being kind of funny as I say this, but when we first had adopted the twins, we were flying home from California. So we've got, the 2 kids and, like, they're pretty wrapped up, like, we had them all wrapped up on, like, in our carriers and everything, and, like, I just thought it was so funny that people were making comments about me, like, "Oh, you just had twins, you look so good, they're only 5 weeks old. Wow, you just look so, like, so energetic, you look great," and I would just, like, take it. I would just be like, "Oh, thank you so much." I'm like,
did have someone do that to me once.
you have no idea, but I still, like, cackle in my mind thinking about some of those people and, like, how embarrassed they would probably feel if I went through the whole story with them, but it's like, maybe that's, like, a lesson of, like, you have no idea what has come before this moment, and you're just inserting a comment.
Well, and like, why do people think it's okay to comment on someone's body ever?
Ever. I know, ever.
Oh, you look so great. You've lost weight. Oh, you've gained weight. Like, I don't know what you think is a compliment or not, but just don't. Just don't. Let's just not comment on people's bodies.
Yeah, it's really wild, really wild. Yeah, I have a friend who she had a foster child and then was pregnant at the same time, which, like, I mean, you probably got comments like this too of like, "How did you have these 2 so close together? How is this possible?" Like, all those different things, and it's like, okay, like, there's just the moral of the story is there's so much more going on behind the scenes than you could ever imagine, and yet people still make comments and just insert their comments. So, anyways, those are some of the things. These things can these comments can pile up and like can definitely all like add together to make you feel like uncomfortable or maybe even make you like not want to go into public or like be around people or like bring up these different things in conversation. But I think overall it's just you have to be confident in like who you are and what your family has done and respond with kindness and like respond graciously. Um, but it doesn't always feel like that. So I don't know. Have you ever had times where you've responded in ways that you're like, maybe shouldn't have said it like that? Or like had thoughts where you're like, "Ugh."
More issues. Yeah, I think I have more issues with that when someone comments on something that's due to my child being adopted, like, but like I already know them. So, and I think
Mm,
this goes into like what we're talking about, like with relationships with people. Like, I already have this relationship with someone, um, but then maybe they're commenting on like, we've talked about picky eating before about like, oh, well, just, with my child, if you just do this, they'll eat. Like if you just set them at the table for long enough, they'll eat. Like that kind of stuff where I'm like, I don't. I don't need to explain my child's medical history to you even though you're my friend, but also, like, it doesn't work that way for us, like, there's extra circumstances here that are different, so stuff like that,
Yeah.
that, like, I have I've had difficulty, like, responding to sometimes. And just that balance between, like, knowing what to share and when to share. With a stranger, I feel much more inclined to just not share, ignore it, whatever. But with your friend, it gets a little, like, trickier because you're like, well, I mean, I kind of want to explain this to you because, like, you're
Yeah.
my friend, you're my life, but also, like, I want to be respectful of my child. And, like, how do you, like, find that balance? And I don't wanna make your friend feel bad either. Like, you don't want them like, they obviously didn't mean it in any, like, mean way.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I mean, that's where you kinda have to evaluate, like, how close am I to this person, and, like, how much do I really wanna dive into everything? Like, I mean, we're at the very beginning of all of this where people are asking about the girl's story and, like, about their, you know, birth mom and different things, and, like, it just depends, honestly. Like, when I'm in the grocery store walking, this happened a few weeks ago where I'm, like, at a yard sale, and this mom is asking me all these questions, and it's like, okay, at some point, like, I can give you a little bit of information, but, like, I'm not gonna divulge all of their history to you because that's not appropriate, even if I think, like, oh, you're a nice, kind person and you're not asking out of spite or anything. It still is like, okay, you have to weigh it to see how close am I, and, like, am I gonna continue to see this person in my life? Like, is it just, like, this one-time thing? I feel like that helps gauge your response.
Yeah, but even then, okay, so, like, think about your friends, like, you're out and about with, like, a friend, and they're, like, an established friend, and especially other moms, like, this is where I
Mhm.
think it's challenging for a lot of people, like, their child is doing something, and your child can't do that or shouldn't do that because of reasons that are related to them being adopted. So, reasons that your friend can't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they couldn't, but they don't
Yeah,
understand,
yeah.
let's say. Like, that's the kind of thing that, like, I think is, like, really tricky and can be really isolating, you
Mhm.
know? Like, we talked in, I think it was, like, 2 episodes ago, like, about nursery, dropping your kid off at nursery or something, and, like, um or, like, sleepovers. Maybe that's, like, a better example. Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, so we won't do sleepovers." I don't know if we would have done that before, but kids in foster care, kids that have been through foster care are at a much higher risk of being abused, a lot of things, substance abuse, like things like
Yeah.
that. And so we're uncomfortable with our child going to a sleepover because of that. And
Mhm.
had, like, she not been adopted and those statistics weren't there, I
Mm.
maybe would have felt different.
Mhm.
And then how do you explain that to your friend who's like, "Oh, can you come over for a sleepover? You don't wanna be," you know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
I know, it's so I wish there was, like, a cut and dry way to go about it, but I do feel like I think so I'm gonna approach this as, like, if I were the friend who had the child who was not adopted, and, like, I'm inviting LJ to come over. I feel like I would wanna know, like, some of those reasons. And I guess it depends on, like, we're close, so, like, I can see that I could, like, wanna go a little deeper, but I feel like I might wanna know some of those reasons, and it just depends on, like, how you frame it. You don't have to, like, go into, like, all these details, but it may help me to understand you more, but I don't know, cause like, it all depends on your comfort level and, like, how much you wanna share.
Or you'll feel judged because I'm doing something different than you.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, I wouldn't personally,
you know what I'm
but so
saying?
yeah.
Like, that's well, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But, like, that's what comes to my mind, especially with the friend that's like, they're your friend, but it's not like you've been friends forever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Man, I don't want you to feel judged for my parenting choices." And I know I'm not responsible for you.
Yeah.
But and then if I just hold back and I'm just a little bit more, like, vague about it, like, "Oh, no, thank you. Like, that's just something we don't do right now, but we'd love to blah, 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 blah. Like
Yeah.
if I give an example, that's usually how I respond. That feels so isolating to me
Mhm.
because, and maybe that's just my personality type, or maybe y'all listening feel the same way. I don't know. But I feel really isolated if I am not sharing a lot of things with someone
Mhm.
because I don't know. That's just my personality. Maybe I'm just an oversharer.
That's why you host a
I'm an
podcast.
oversharer by nature, so to not overshare feels, like, very isolating.
Yeah, I know. It really it is tricky, and I wonder, like, I think for the majority of people to just say, like, "No, we don't do that because," like, I don't even know what you would say to, like, keep it super vague, but, like, not that you'd say it like this, but, like, "No, we don't do that because she's adopted." Like, obviously, you're not gonna be like that blunt and say it, but, like, I don't know, what if you did? Like, what does that how does that hit someone else? I don't know. I mean, it's like there's no formula for it. I think it's just having to feel it out. I don't know. Like, it's really yeah, it's really tricky. Even when we thought about, like we talked about doing this, topic for the podcast, I was like, I don't really think I do any of these things that well, so it's it's, like, hard to talk about it. Because like or we haven't
Sometimes that's my favorite episodes
I
that we do,
know.
are the ones that we're just like, "Hey, can you resonate with this struggle?"
Yeah,
Like, sometimes
seriously.
we're like, "Let me tell you about all the" I'm like, if you're watching on YouTube, I, like, cannot get comfortable today. Anyway, but yeah, like, just we don't always have the answers. Sometimes we
Yeah,
do, sometimes we don't. But I do
yeah,
hope that when people listen that they feel heard,
yeah,
like
for sure, and I think, all in all, like, because of the way that our kids have come to our families, like, that it is different. Like, it is different than the vast majority of the kids who are gonna be in school with your kids and, like, play on sports teams and things, like, it's definitely maybe you're in an area where you have a lot of people who've done foster care or a lot of people who are adopted in your church or whatever it might be, but there's still I would venture to guess you're still in the minority. And so there are going to be times where, like, you might feel pretty isolated the majority of the time because that you've done things differently than a lot of people, and I think it's hard. It's isolating, but also know that you're not alone. Like we have obviously you've heard our stories now. You've heard us struggle through some of these things. Like it's just how it is. And there are a lot of people who are working through this. And so I don't know, maybe like if anyone listening has like a real specific example or like something that you're really struggling through, maybe send it to us and like we can kind of talk through it and see like what would we say? What would we do? Because there's just a lot of things that, like, yeah, you and I haven't experienced yet because our kids are young, that I'm sure a lot of parents out there with older kids are like, "Oh, let me tell you all of the different things with my kids in school," or whatever it might be. So, yeah, there might be, like, some ways that we can just connect through yeah, through this too.
well, I think one of the things that we both have done that has helped, clearly we do this because we have this podcast, is that we
Mhm.
connect with other moms that have adopted or have gone through foster care. Because there is just a base understanding. Like, it doesn't matter if your child was adopted through embryo adoption, you did foster care, you did international adoption. Like, there's just this base understanding that you have that is like uniting, that does feel like a bond. And it is a little easier, when my friend that has an adopted child says, like, hey, let's hang out. And I say, cool, this needs to be organized and planned. And only if my child is up for it that day, and they're like, "I get it."
Yep,
You
absolutely.
know?
I think that's really good, and that's like it is something that, we talked about, like, finding your people and finding your friends and all of that, and, like, because there aren't a lot of us out there, like, it is hard at times to find people who have adopted, who also have kids that are your age the age of your kids, like, all the different things, your schedules somehow magically align. It is hard, so, yeah, those are good people to keep your eye out for and just see, like, when you're I don't know, when, like, you're introducing yourself to your like, new people, I think don't be afraid to say that you have adopted kids or however you want to phrase that, but, like, don't be afraid to say that because there might be somebody else who is next to you who would never have said that, and they're like, "Oh, yes, we wanna connect."
Speaking of which, I don't know if I mentioned this, but remember, like, however many weeks ago that was when I was like, we went to the ER for Des?
Oh, yeah.
The nurse practitioner, yeah, she was a nurse practitioner. The nurse practitioner that did his stitches was in foster care.
Wow.
So she's an adult, and I'm trying to think of how that got brought up. Oh, I think I said something about I was like, "We're still paying off the first bill," or something like that, and then I was like, "Yeah, I'm not used to having medical expenses because my daughter's medical expenses are paid for because
Mm,
she, was adopted through foster care," and she was like, "I was in foster care too."
wow.
And it was, like, really cool because then, like, we instantly just started connecting and talking through, like, some of the different things that happened with, like, the medical stuff and blah, blah, blah.
So
And, like,
cool.
that's exactly what we're talking about. Like, it was so like, there is just this connection, which is also fascinating because I personally was not in foster care, and she personally was, but because my daughter, it was just, like, a really cool, like, unique thing, but just like you're saying,
Yeah.
sometimes mentioning it is a good thing because you can, like, bridge that gap.
Yeah. And I mean, we've talked about this before too, but that's why it is really important to talk to your kids about these things before they're going into a new setting too, because you don't want your kid to overhear you say something like, "Oh yeah, my son's adopted." And he's like, "What?" Like, we've never talked about this
I
before."
can't even
Like,
imagine.
I know, but it is like there are definitely stories out there, it has happened, and, it's even, like, my son Judah, we were talking the other day about the twins are adopted and something, something, and I said, "And you're adopted too, bud," and he goes, "No, I'm not. I'm not adopted," and I was like, "Okay, we've had this conversation many a times, you know this," but he was just like it was just this funny little like, "No, no, I'm not," like, he just being funny, and it's like, okay, if I didn't, like, stop in that moment and, like, talk through, "Yes, you are," like, go through the details, he could go and tell whoever else, he probably has told his teachers or whoever, like, "No, I'm not adopted," and he definitely is. So, I don't know, just, like, having those conversations often in being very open in your home, again, like, just reiterating that is a good thing.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. It is kinda crazy to me that they don't talk about it still to this day, but,
I know.
um yeah, just funny, like, little and then you know what? We didn't even mention this, but, like, when you're in I think something that's even more challenging or can be more challenging is if you have a child in foster care that you have not adopted.
Hmm.
So you just have children in foster care. That is even like that can be so, so hard to make friends because there are so many more restrictions.
Mhm.
Oh, he can't go to that party or he can't go to
Yeah.
we can't go out of town because we didn't get permission. So he can't go because like sometimes it's like, oh, the baseball team is going just across the bridge, like Louisville, we live so close to Indiana to go to this thing. And it's like you have to get permission if you're going to cross and depending on your worker, depending on the bio parents, like all these
Mhm.
things, and it's like even more isolating. I mean, definitely for the child, but also for the parent too, because you're trying to
Yeah.
form these relationships and you're like, so I just came to my mind like, oh yeah, there's another layer.
Yeah. Are there things with foster care that, like, even limit, like, different types of activities or, like, if there's, like, a school trip and they're going to, like, the trampoline park or, like, going to do something like that, like, are there things that I don't know why trampoline came to my mind, but, like, yeah, just, like, different activities and things that are limited for foster kids like that?
Yeah, so they talk about it's called prudent parenting is supposed to mean like you can make parental decisions that are like I don't prudent or like average
Yeah.
decisions. However, it is dependent on the bio parents and your social worker. So, like the
Mm.
bio parents, if they're really involved, they can say no and they have the right to say no. maybe
Sure.
not in every case, but in a lot of cases, or maybe most, they have the right to say, like, "You can't cut my child's hair. You can't get
Wow.
their ears pierced. They can't go to, the trampoline park." A lot of things that are, like, considered, like, dangerous are, like,
Like the high
roller
ropes course.
coasters.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, things like that, like, they could
Mhm.
say no, and even some things that we think are like, "But he really, really needs a haircut," and they can be
Yeah.
like, "No."
Yeah.
And I mean, on one hand, it's a good thing, right? Because what if the parent's religion is or culture dictates that that they don't cut hair? You know, you as the foster parent shouldn't be able to do that.
Mhm.
That's not respectful, right? But sometimes it's a power play.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be mixed. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really I mean, that's like a whole other level of conversations and like how, just like how to navigate that with new friends, which is another great reason to find like if you do have foster kids, like find other moms and dads who are fostering kids who you can just commiserate with maybe a little bit, but also who, understand if you say no, like or they know you're going to say no, so they're not even going to invite you to the thing, whatever it is.
right. And if you are looking for friends, foster and adoptive parents, and you don't know where to look, we did an interview with Anna Bernacki a little while back, and she works for Thrive, which is an online community for you guys. So that could be a really great place that you could meet some foster parents or adoptive parents.
That's a great call out. That's good. Um, yeah, so I mean, as we think about like new we're walking into like kind of new season of like whatever it might be. We've said like new school, new sports, but also now we're getting in we'll soon be getting into like holidays and other things. There are just so many different things to navigate with our foster and adoptive kids. So I think like overall I just want people to know like they're not alone. We're all kind of walking through this. We're all figuring this out. We're all yeah, just like trudging through some of these different things. And if you have done it one way and you like weren't super thrilled about the outcome of like whatever it was, like a conversation or trying to build a new relationship, like just know that the next time can be different. And like, I don't know, I don't want people to be scared away from ever trying something new or like meeting new people.
Yep. I totally agree. And if you're in a
Yeah.
season where you can't have deep friendships right now,
Yeah.
that's okay too. Have your texting friends or your, once a month friends, whatever, definitely find community, but don't feel like it has to look one way.
Yeah. That's so good. And I mean, we didn't even really talk about this too much, but like it might be a time where you are in a season. Well, you talked about it a little bit. Like you might gravitate more towards friends who aren't moms or maybe who are moms, but like their kids are in a totally different season than what you're like. They're in high school sports and you're in kids with diapers. Like you might have like these totally different dynamics, but it doesn't mean you can't still find ways to connect and maybe that's what's best right now is just like to kind of separate the things.
Yep.
So
That's totally me in this season.
yeah. I know, I feel like it's like becoming more of me too just based on where we're at and what everybody's got going on.
They're also so much easier. They're like, I could call my friends without kids and be like, "Hey, you want to go do something in 20 minutes?" We're like, "Sure." This is awesome.
I know. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, 20 minutes. I no, like by the time that I can like get myself off of this floor that I'm sitting on surrounded by all this stuff, get clothes out like no, 20 it's not enough
You're like,
time.
"I can't even get their shoes on in 20 minutes."
Yeah.
Like, that's not happening.
I can't even get the
I
car
know, it's
loaded.
great.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So, anyways,
Uh,
anything else? Any other thoughts that you have, things you want to share about this? I feel
no,
like we've pretty much covered it. It's been a
we hit
good
it.
chit chatty episode.
Yeah. Well, if anything we said today made you laugh, cry, or feel seen, please feel free to share this with a friend. And we are so glad you're here. So happy to get to chat with you today. And we'll see you guys next time.